Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak Title Update 2, the Gunlance Boogaloo. In today's video, I'm going to be updating you as to what I've been up to over the last couple of days. Before we get into the meat of the video, I would just like to point out that I've been going through a real MMO stint recently, and if you guys want to check some of that content out, I do have a secondary channel called Rurikhan Unleashed. That is where you'll find that type of content if you happen to be into MMOs. But anyways, getting back on topic, I have continued my journey in search of the most cursed quest. Now, I've actually noticed that in some of the streams that I've did recently in the channel, a lot of people are still not aware of what the cursed quest is. So let me just give you a very brief and quick explanation. Basically, ever since Anomaly investigations were introduced into the game, these Anomaly investigations have a level. The higher the level, the harder the monsters in that quest will be. So I'm leveling the Anomaly rank to get to the highest possible level, which currently is capped at 120. And then when I get there, I want to get like some of the harder monsters. So in this case, since this update, we're probably talking about maybe Gormagala, Rajang. I don't know how Gormagala is. I haven't done an Anomaly with Gormagala, but like I'm thinking maybe for me it's going to be Rajang or something like that. Maybe some Furious Rajang in there, maybe an Apex or Zeros, maybe some other Apex, maybe a Gold Rathian. I don't know exactly what the quest looks like. But basically, it's going to be a quest that's going to have 3 really tough monsters. It's going to be me against those monsters at max level. But that does require me to level these Anomaly ranks all the way up to 120. And I know that a lot of you guys are already at 120, and I'm be real, I don't know how you are doing it. If you're just like jumping into 4-player lobbies and completely pummeling the monsters into oblivion. I've mostly been playing solo. Most of my friends, they're not even up to the same Anomaly rank as me, so I'm pretty much just like pushing this stuff by myself, and it takes quite a while, particularly with the Gunlance still not being the highest damage you can possibly get on a weapon, so it takes a little bit to get it done. But I've been having fun with it. It's been interesting, and it's again a long-term objective. I kind of feel like, considering that last time I got to 100, a couple of days later they raised the rank up to 120. I believe that most likely I'm going to get to 120 and they're going to be like, okay, the cap now is 150, and it's just going to be an eternal search for the most cursed quest that's actually never going to end. And I'm okay with that. You know, I go a little bit slower than everybody else because I've been busy with other things and also family and whatnot. But, you know, I'm still in there, still doing the thing. And today I also wanted to talk to you guys about my current playstyle. Now, as you know, pretty much since the introduction of Curious Armor Crafting, I've played the Gunlance exclusively. The reasoning behind that is because I'm extremely unlucky with Curious Armor Crafting and, you know, just trying to get the things that I want. I don't want to talk too much about that. People tend to get real negative whenever I bring up Curious Armor Crafting. So suffice it to say, I need to put a lot of materials into Curious Armor Crafting, and swapping weapons after you do that just feels like, you know, oh, I've lost all of these upgrades that I've been working on. So I don't feel like doing that. I've been playing exclusively Gunlance. Now, the really cool thing is that before this update landed, I was already running the Bullet Barrage build, which is, you know, was one of my favorite builds when I initially started playing through Sunbreak, and so it's just a build that I particularly enjoy playing. But I had dropped it previously because, quite simply, the normal shelling playstyle is much more efficient. You can deal a lot more damage and all of that. But I went back to it before the update because I still just enjoy blasting monsters open with it. And with the introduction of the new armor sets, which obviously we've had new monsters in the form of Flaming Aspinas, which is a really good fight, in the form of Violet Mizutsune, which, let's be honest, it's Mizutsune. You bonk him over the head once, he falls over. Then you bonk him over the head again, and he keeps falling over. That's pretty much what he does. He's like a dog that keeps rolling in the ground, waiting for you to give him belly rubs or something like that, except the belly rubs never come. I just keep smashing him open with my Gunlance, and that's just the way that it goes. And yes, even for Violet Mizutsune, it is pretty much that easy. And then you also have Risen Chameleos, which Risen Chameleos didn't really have anything that I personally wanted. Hell, Risen Chameleos didn't even have weapons. Whatever happened to that? Like, what? Come on, man. Not even a Gunlance so that I could be disappointed alongside the other 2 Gunlances that we got in this update? Oh, yeah, of course. You didn't think that I was going to name a video the Gunlance Boogaloo and not talk about what the hell is going on with the Gunlance situation over there at Capcom. Like, I don't know what they need to do but they need to sort themselves out, because like this is just beyond what is acceptable. Like Title Update 1, we get no new shelling level 8 gun lances. I'm like, okay, maybe Title Update 1 was too soon. Maybe we'd get those later down the line. But then Title Update 2 comes, and once again, there's no shelling level 8 gun lance. We got the Cactus Erlich over here, which, you know, it's got the secret poison thing. Ooh, a gun lance that explodes with the anger of flaming espinasse and has a chance to inflict poison. I don't care, because it's normal shelling level 7 and its raw damage is pretty bad, and its affinity is also not great when compared to the almighty what's it called, the Torsi de Lavatur from Pyrochnidaki. Like, the stats on this aren't even anywhere close the potential of Pyrochnidaki. So this is, it's like it's like at the end of the day, you instantly discard this pretty much. I mean, can you use it? Sure. I mean, you can also use like the first iteration of the Iron Gun Lance. You know, it's just not going to be particularly efficient, which is the same thing with this weapon. But, you know, that was disappointing enough. Then we go to the Pure Gun Lance Izuna, which, by the way, actually looks really cool. I like the look of Violet Mizutsune's weapons. I think they look better than the default Mizutsune weapons, and it's basically a hue change. And in there, you're like, oh my god, it's got 320 raw. That's better, right? Oh my god, look at all that purple sharpness. Glorious. Then it's got like 18 fire damage. Like, what? Okay. 10% affinity. 3 slots and a tier 1 rampage slot, which, by the way, all gun lances need a tier 2. At least the tier 1 rampage slot is fixable. Like, you can work around that with the new upgrades that you can do for the weapon with the Curious Weapon Crafting. You can increase that to a 2, which basically makes it that you can slot in an anti-decoration jewel, which then makes it okay. But then you get to the shelling style, and you're like, wide, okay, good. We need more good wide shelling gun lance, but it's, again, level 7. And, you know, it is what it is. It's another level 7 gun lance. It's 2 more level 7 gun lances, and gun lance mains are basically left in the dirt once more compared to pretty much any other weapon, which can actually be used to some extent. You know, us gun lance mains are looking at these and going like, all right, I guess we just don't, okay. At least with Title Update 1, we got Sneak Attack, which in a way, I still believe that was a mistake. The fact that Sneak Attack actually affects gun lance shells, but, you know, it is what it is. At least we got that with Title Update 1. But that is not to say that with Title Update 2, we didn't get anything, because we did. We got something that, personally, I greatly enjoy, and it is a skill that is called the Intrepid Heart. Now, the Intrepid Heart says, after filling the gauge by continuously landing attacks, negates damage reactions or reduces damage taken from a single attack that would knock you back. This is fundamentally Rocksteady, except, you know, Rocksteady is all of the attacks, whereas here it's like one attack. But you see, the thing about proper gun lance play, and I'm not going to say that I myself do proper gun lance play, is that a lot of times it's all about, like, you know, you can get into a rhythm and you're doing fantastic, and then you make that one mistake and you feel like, oh man, that just kind of like ruined my whole rhythm. So being able to make that one mistake, either making that one mistake by mistake or actually making that mistake purposefully and being like, no, I'm gonna get hit and I don't care, so that I can go and do another full burst, it actually feels really good. Especially if, like me, you happen to be playing around with Bullet Barrage, because let me tell you, like, 2 Bullet Barrages will fill this thing up, no problem. Or a Bullet Barrage and a couple of more attacks, and boom, Bob's your uncle. And it feels fantastic. And on top of it, it's not even like the pieces that have Intrepid Heart are actually that bad. So the 2 pieces that have Intrepid Heart are the Flaming Espinasse Grip, as well as the Flaming Espinasse Heel. So let's take a look at the grip first to give you guys an idea of what we're working with here. So in terms of slots, you're looking at a tier 4 and a tier 2 slot, and that is a lot of potential skills that you can put on there. Because like previously, some of us would be using the Renoplos gauntlets because they come with a bunch of artillery and a bunch of load shells, and you can Curious Crafting augment them to be even better. But it's not like these ones are coming in with trash, right? Just like the slots alone, this allows you to slot in for like 2 load shells or 2 artillery and another point into something else. So you can just fill up artillery in these gloves if you want to, which is pretty good. But In terms of skills themselves, you have Intrepid Heart level 1, and you have Attack Boost level 1. Attack Boost is whatever, for Gunlance that is. I mean, some of you guys will enjoy that. But you have Razor Sharp level 2, which is a very important skill for Gunlances in general. You want to have some sharpness management because shells, as it turns out, burn through sharpness faster than my kid would burn through my credit card if he was able to. So, you know, just pointing that out there. I should have said faster than my wife does, because that would have worked way better for that joke, but whatever. This is what you get to with impromptu Rurikhan. Anyway, so the Razor Sharp, really good. Intrepid Heart level 1, really good. Really good slots overall. So this is actually a pretty good item, especially taking into consideration that if you look at the sneak attack pieces from Lucent Narga, you're looking at chest, belt, and boots. Right? So that leaves gloves open to potentially bring in this Intrepid Heart level 1. You guys are like, yeah, but what if you want Intrepid Heart level 2? Yeah, that is going to be tricky because for me personally, I am not willing to, on most of my builds, to give up on maximum sneak attack because it's 20% more damage to shells. There is one build where I'm willing to give it up, and I'll talk more about that in a bit. But let's just also point out the fact that these legs, the Flaming Espionage heel, are actually very good. And interestingly enough, with only a few curious crafting rolls, I was able to get a ton of slots on them. I'm not sure what the reasoning is, but basically I got like, I think on mine, I think I have like the tier 4, a tier 2, and the tier 1 that it has by default, which is just like, hey, it's just another free skill. Fantastic. But even then, it's not like the skills that this thing comes with are slouches either, because you're looking at another point of Intrepid Heart, which is obviously what we'd want, 1 point of attack boost, and 2 points of burst. Burst, by the way, is the new name that they've given to Chain Crit, which actually makes sense because Chain Crit has absolutely nothing to do with critical attacks. Chain Crit actually does nothing for your crit damage. All it does is it adds attack, so them renaming it to Burst is actually pretty cool. So these are no slouch when it comes to gear as well, and it's perfectly, you know, viable if you want to sacrifice the 10% bonus damage that you get from maximum sneak attack in order to get burst and other things. But personally, my recommendation is to only do this for normal shelling, because that is the shelling style that, or just, you know, if you're doing a Gunlance build that goes more for melee damage, then sure, this can work, and you still get the level 2 Intrepid Heart, which, by the way, also does an explosion that blasts monsters for 300 damage, and it's really satisfying to trigger that thing. So I've been using it only on my normal build, because that is the build that also does the most melee damage, because both my wide build with the Corn Popper as well as my long build with the K9, those don't really do that much melee damage, so I don't really go for burst or anything like that. But still, 2 pretty good pieces of gear that I wanted to bring out, the Flaming Espionage Grip and the Flaming Espionage Heel. You might want to consider these for your builds. Now, coming up next, we have another piece of, we have another armor. This one's from Violet Mizutsune. Now, Violet Mizutsune has another skill called Embolden. Now, I've seen a lot of players talk about this and saying, oh, Rurikhan, have you seen Embolden? Embolden's amazing. I have not tested out Embolden at all, and let me tell you why. Because it would mean sacrificing the pieces that I'm currently using to gain sneak attack, with the exception of potentially gloves. But gloves I'm using for Intrepid Heart, which I consider to be more powerful than Embolden. So I'm not really using Embolden all that much. For those of you that are curious about what Embolden is, it basically increases your guard. It increases your invincibility window. Wait. Yeah, it increases your dodging invincibility, and it increases your guard, and it increases your defense. Which, to be honest, like when it comes to blocking things with a Gunlance, guard 3 is usually more than enough. I've heard about people using this with like Sword and Shield, because it really enables you to take advantage of that shield charge that you do. I'm assuming that at that point you'd also go like the offensive guard and stuff like that, which seems like it'd be interesting. But for me personally, the sacrifice is too big at this moment to consider Embolden, so I haven't even tested it. However, I want to bring attention to another piece of gear, and that is the Onmyo Tokan. Now, this is Mizutsune's head. Now, Mizutsune's head has pretty decent slots. It comes with 2 tier 1s and a tier 4, and I believe that you can, like, If you get a little bit of luck, you can actually upgrade this to get a tier 2 in there as well, with just a little bit of luck. And the sheer amount of value that you get from this, because basically from the tier 4 deco, you can get like 2 skills, either load shells or artillery or anything else that you want. And the armor itself comes with Evade Extender 3, so it brings 3 skills already on top of the 2 additional skills, on top of potentially another tier 2 deco. So it is a very valuable piece of gear if you're able to actually upgrade it just a little bit in terms of curious armor crafting. Before this, I was actually using the Vasario's helm. So I swapped for this because currently in my build, I want to have Evade Extender 3. Usually 2 is enough, but having 3 for long shelling and proper positioning for the bullet barrage feels really good. So this is another piece of armor that I would recommend all of you Gunlances out there to check out. And finally, we have Risen Mizuha, which a lot of people are telling me, Rurikhan, you got to try it out, got to try out. Build up boost. And I'm just like, bro, it doesn't affect shelling. Therefore, I'm not interested. So the way that build up boost works is it increases your attack power whenever you land attacks that build poison, which, by the way, not every attack of a poison weapon is going to proc poison. Same thing for paralysis, sleep, blast, or exhaust. Well, exhaust, I think, is like 100% because it's going to be a bullet, right? But it's like, besides those, not every attack trigger. Actually, files trigger it, I guess. So technically speaking, this could be really good for charge blades. Maybe for charge blades, but not for Gunlance, because like we don't really rely that much on our attack power, right? Unless again we're running normal with a bunch of like EFR and stuff like that, then sure. But usually when I'm personally running wide and when I'm running long, I'm mostly focusing on shelling damage, so build up boost is not really something that I'm particularly interested in. Not to mention you would also end up sacrificing, once again, pieces that you will probably be using for sneak attack, and sneak attack is just far too valuable in my opinion. But you know, it's there if you want to. Maybe for another weapon it could be interesting. But other than that, this is pretty much what I've been doing. My recommendations is check out the Onmyo Tukan helmet, check out the Flaming Espinasse grip and the Flaming Espinasse heel. If you guys are interested in knowing the builds that I've been using on these, then let me know. The problem with builds nowadays is that most of them require a significant amount of curious crafting, which usually just means like, hey, you know, good luck trying to get the build that I did, because it's going to be challenging. But either way, still having fun, still doing the whole Cursed Quest thing, and I will probably be streaming it in the channel again at some point, but right now I need to do some more MMO things, because that is kind of like something that I'm really interested in. But anyways, let me know how you guys are doing. Let me know how you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe, peace out.